Hello, everybody. It's Renae in Brooklyn.
Welcome to a new video. This one's gonna be like how to travel for cheap, how to travel on a budget, mostly kind of backpacking style around the world.
Well, because that's how you travel on a budget.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just gonna kind of say our points, what we think really helps.
People always ask us, they're like, how can you just like go and travel? And I'm like,
so
honestly,
yeah. I
don't know, but like, we're gonna try to explain it.
Right? Like we're not millionaires over here. Like our parents don't help us. Like we're all like we fund all of our trips, and we're super lucky to be able to travel a lot. But we definitely prioritize it, and there's definitely some tricks and tips that you can do while you're on the road itself, and before too. But yeah. Okay, so kind of assess, like you want to assess how much money you have to start with.
So what I did, like when we were going to Europe, is I was like, how much money do I want in my bank account, like when I come home? Like how much am I willing to spend on this? Because some people are like, I'll just come home and be broke or whatever, but I think personally it's good to just have a base number being like, I'll go down and I don't want to spend any more than this. I don't want my bank account to drop anymore.
Also, like, is this like your gap year, your gap summer, and you're like, I'm gonna go for a couple months, I'm gonna bang it out, and whatever money I have left is whatever. But for like me and you, like we want to come home and then we want to plan the next trip, so it's like you got to think about, you can't just spend all your money at once. Also,
if you work a shift job like I do, pick up all the shifts. Like anytime someone posts a shift, pick it up right before you go. Literally try to like make as much money as you can, like within the first like month before or like 2 months before. Just like work every day. You're gonna hate your life for a bit, but it's gonna be so worth it when like half your trip's paid for because you've been working every day like before you go.
Yeah. So yeah, how much money you have, and then you can kind of budget from there. And then do you want to go step one? And do you want to go like right away, or do you want to now maybe save a bit more depending on exactly like how you want to travel? Yeah. Next step is kind of where you want to go. What?
Sorry, I was like too tall in the thing and it looked weird.
Okay, so where you want to go, like you got to pick obviously your trip. Like, do you want to go all the way around the world? Is there one continent, one country you want to go to? Like what's...
And if you just want to like do a trip like really cheap, like you could base it off there. Like if you don't care where you go, you're just like, I only have $2,000 and I want to go somewhere like really cheap for as long as I can, then you base it off there too.
To that. Yeah. So it's like if you want to go somewhere cheap and just for whatever, as long as you can and do the cheapest possible, I would definitely pick like either Asia, Central America, or South America. Another cheaper place is like the Middle East type of thing, like getting there from especially Canada, from where we are, is pretty expensive, so you have to think about that. Europe is obviously going to be the most expensive. There are certain countries,
and like Australia.
I know, yes, I forgot Australia is super expensive as well. And then obviously, like if you're traveling between Canada and the US, that's going to be
also really expensive. Yeah.
Certain parts of each like out of the expensive continents are gonna be cheaper, but overall it's just gonna be more expensive, especially like comparing it to Asia and South America and Central America.
Yeah. One thing to think about is like, do you want to go to Europe and spend more money on like stay and food, but maybe not as much money on activities? Maybe you're just gonna sightsee and not really like do anything except like explore the like city and get food, or do you want to like go to Mexico and do like all the activities, because that's gonna add up to doing like snorkeling and scuba diving and ATVing and all that stuff adds up too. So you kind of have to decide what trip it wants to be.
Like personally,
you want to do.
I love doing it all, but I remember when we went to Europe, I just thought like, you know what, meeting people and enjoying like honestly
seeing
food and
how
drinks
they live
was like my biggest thing in Europe this time around. And then when I went to like Asia and Central America and stuff, like all like the scuba diving and skydiving, like those kind of activities were like super important to me there, like these big hikes. So you just kind of have to pick what you want to do and what's important to you for your trip at the time.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, our next point that we're gonna have, how long do you want to go for? That obviously is a big impact on
everything.
On everything.
The longer you go, the more money you're gonna spend.
Exactly. Well, again, so if you want to go for a longer time and you don't have that much money, I would pick a cheaper place.
Also, if you don't have that much time, go somewhere that's maybe a bit closer to where you live, because spending money to get out to Europe or Australia or like Japan or something for us is going to be way more expensive. So maybe that's a time that you want to go for longer, because you're spending all the money to get out there. You might as well stay out there for a bit. So if you only have a short amount of time, I mean, you can go further out too, but it will be more expensive just because the flights and everything.
Look at flights, man. You never know. And then how do you want to travel? Like, do you want to maybe go for a shorter amount of time and live like a little bit more luxurious, or not? Like, do you not care about that kind of stuff and you just want to travel and do it as cheap as possible to see as much as you can? So you gotta kind of decide what kind of person you are. Like,
one thing is like, are you okay with hostel mixed dorms,
or
would you only do private rooms, or would you only stay in hotels or Airbnb?
Like, are you okay with living at like a dirt cheap, probably bug infested hostel, or are you, well, you never said.
Like, you can if you want to, but we probably wouldn't.
We probably wouldn't personally, but maybe when I was like 18, I had that travel bug and I was willing to do anything, so it's up to you. Okay, so now just some tips on like how to actually cut these costs and like how to do things for cheap. We kind of have like the main things here going on. We got flights, we got accommodation, and we got food. Like, those are like your biggest things when you're traveling, obviously, and then activities as well. So starting off with flights / transportation, if you're flexible with your dates, that helps so much. Like, yeah,
seriously. Even just changing it like one day earlier, one day later is
because that's the thing. Some people like can't. Like, some people have 1 week and they can go on this date and this date, and that is it. And so it's like
you just have
to do those prices. And if you have like sometimes a 2-day window, you're golden starting your journey. Usually you're taking a flight. Look at all the sites and go from there. You think one site is going to be cheaper, look at another one. Look at maybe a one-way to one country and then another way back, or just look at everything.
Also, if you don't care, this is what we did when we were in Europe. If you don't care about where you're going necessarily, Skyscanner and like some other like cheap flight things, you can just put in anywhere. Like, you can put in where you are and then just anywhere, and it will literally
cheapest month or
cheap, anything, and it will show you like the cheapest times to go, the cheapest places that you can go to. So if you really don't care, just do that, because you can find stuff that's like insane.
And that goes along with flexibility. Yeah. It's like, you can find really cheap things. It's just about being kind of savvy with researching, and then your flexibility. Like, it really makes a difference. So next thing, now when you're actually in the place that you have reached and your destination, and you're happy and you're going along and you're like, damn, how the hell do I get to all these places that I want to go see? It's really easy to get within cities and stuff, and just go. Even when you're in one country, like, we went to like 5 different places in Italy. Like, you just take trains, which is the cheapest mode of transportation there. Like, it's pretty easy to figure it out, to be honest.
It's also like, some people are like, oh, I want to rent a car and do that. Yeah. That's going to be more expensive.
Exactly.
But if you're willing to take the bus, you'll be fine. If you're willing to walk,
walk everywhere. Use those legs of yours.
Yeah.
You got.
Then again, saving money.
Exactly. Like, walk everywhere. Take those. If you're in Central America or Asia, take those tuk-tuks. Like, do those cheap things and use your legs, man. Yeah. Like, it will really save you a lot of money.
Also, buying like a couple day bus passes, like we did that in Europe a lot. We would buy like metro passes for like 3 days.
Really
is
helps.
Like helpful, and then we literally would go all over the city and like had no problems. And it's like was cheap. Like, we just got a 3-day pass and we were set. Like, we didn't have to worry about buying tickets every time or whatever. So
it was like super helpful. So just like watch out what's the cheapest. Ask people too. Like, locals, for them, honestly, I would say for every trip I've ever done, locals are always just so nice, and they want to help. They're genuinely so excited that you're in their country and that you're like interested in their country. So ask them, ask just people around. Like, people love that. People love, like, if they know something, they want to share it because they know something. So that's exciting to tell people your stuff. So ask people if you don't know. Google is obviously amazing. So just Google stuff and what's the cheapest. It really is that easy. And then also, I'm not gonna lie, if you're like really on a budget, or if you're down to do this, I personally don't think I'd ever do it, but hitchhiking, if you're that type of person, you do you, man. It is a way of transportation.
Yeah.
I watched this TED Talk, and this guy traveled for like literally had like $6 in his bank account, and he just like hitchhiked all the time. I'm not kidding.
What a life men live, hey? And men just
that's
have
the
so
thing
easy.
too. Like I couldn't do that just because it's like scary, especially being a woman. But if you're down, woman or not, do it. Okay. Next thing is stays or accommodations. Some obviously places to stay for cheap are going to be your hostels. Hostels, dorm rooms are going to be super cheap, especially if you're like a solo to like a small group of people. So if you're going 1 to 2 to 3 people, I would definitely recommend staying in a hostel for the most part.
If you have big groups of people though, stay in an Airbnb 100%. Like if you're going with like 12 people, get an Airbnb, it's gonna be so cheap.
It's gonna be so cheap.
Splitting between everybody.
A lot of the times there's very cool Airbnbs, and it's just like nice to stay at like a cool place as well. Like I love that. Like it's just cool to check it out. And it's usually sometimes it's cheaper than staying in a dorm room because you're splitting the cost. So
also
those
just
things are
do the research before you go, because like the odd time when we were in Europe, like staying in a hotel was cheaper than anything. Yeah. So just compare all your options.
Breakfast included, so you got to check about that too.
Compare all your options. It will most likely be hostels, but I know some people like don't ever want to stay in hostels or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, some hostels though have like private rooms that are cheaper, but sometimes they're not as cheaper as other hotels and stuff. So just kind of do your research and see what's kind of the cheapest out there between what Airbnbs, hostels, and hotels. And if you're back to really being on a budget, there's this website called like Couch Surfers or something, or it's like an app, I don't know, I forget what it is, and you can literally sleep on people's couches. I've actually heard a lot of good experiences.
I've heard really good experiences from that too.
It's just like people who are like most likely other travelers, and they know that that's kind of your usually biggest expense, so they're just like, hell yeah, like you can sleep on my couch, like I don't care. Connections that you may have, I put down, like I have family who I've never met apparently like in the weirdest places, so it's like get in touch. The worst that they can say is no. Or once you start traveling, you start to meet other travelers, and they'll always say like, hey, if you're ever in my country, hit me up, and
do it.
Baby, I will hit you up. So do that if that's kind of where you're at in your travels and you've met people or you have that family connection. Just do it. Again, the worst they can say is no. And then if they say yes, you get a free accommodation. So if you have that, great, use it. And then the other thing now, if you're Workaway. I want to talk about Workaway. Workaway is a website, and there's all these hosts from all countries in the world who have different jobs and stuffs that they want like volunteers to do. So all you have to pretty much pay for, and who even knows if your host is who knows who you get set up with, but basically for the most part all you have to pay for is your flights to the country that you're gonna go work, and then you work you work and you stay for free, and usually you eat for free, and there's all these different options. So it's a really cool way to travel for literally no money. And
also, like, working in hostels, if you're cool, a lot of times you have to work like 6 days out of the week. But if you just really like a place and you want to stay, a lot of times, again, you don't get paid, but you get to stay there for free. You get food a lot of times.
You just have a good time, and like honestly, just basically work with travelers and party with them, or like do
and stay like adds up so fast. Like just paying for somewhere to sleep. So. Yeah. And
then you get to build connections, and it's just awesome. Yeah. So another option, and then if you're this type of person, you can also camp, which is like probably the cheapest option possible. Is you can bring your stuff on your back, and you can go to campsites around, just like you got campsites in your country, everybody else does too. So you can go and stay at them. Next thing that we're gonna roll into is food. Everybody's gotta eat. It is an expense.
Drink beer for dinner.
Drink beer. Not our ways, kind of. Okay, so our tips. It's so funny when you meet other travelers. They're like, Are you trying to cut down on 2 meals a day too? Because bro, that's where I'm at.
When we go to Mexico, I am only eating 2 meals a day. I've decided, and it's fine. I'm already training my body now.
It's so funny. It's like you just connect with them so much because you're like, it's funny. Food does add up. And it's like, everybody loves food. We love food here. It's a great culture, and you want to immerse yourself into it. And
so much of traveling is about the food.
The food, it really is, and it's like, it's so fun. So for me, like, that's honestly like a huge part for me. So that's where I like to spend a lot of my money. But to cut things down is cooking. Like, a lot of hostels, if you do stay in them, will have kitchens, or if you take Airbnbs, like a lot of things will have kitchens. So lots of times you will have access to it. So cook when you can. Also just buying stuff from the grocery store that's already cooked, or kind of even fruits and vegetables from there are going to be like so much cheaper than anywhere else. If you just want to buy groceries and consume it that way, that's a really good.
You don't have to go out to a restaurant like every
day at all, at all. And then street food is usually really cheap, and it's honestly just the same as going to a grocery store.
Half the time street food is cheaper than even going to the grocery store.
So street food is the way to go, personally. You got cheap restaurants too, like basically street food within a restaurant, like you got those as well.
Also, just like if you're really on a budget, buy freaking cup of noodles or ramen.
Yeah, seriously,
and
just buy ramen
eat that
every day,
if you don't care.
Yep. So those are just really good ways to cut down on costs, and you can always just cup of noodles, maybe. Cereal in the morning. Yeah. It's a hard life, but when you're on a budget, you do what you gotta do. You do what you gotta do, man. Okay, last kind of big thing that you spend money on is activities. So activities meaning like...
This is what I spend the most money on, because I love doing the activities.
Activities is what you...
that's like what I care about.
Like, seriously, I guess, like, food and activities is like what you travel for. And like, the whole culture and art and music and people too. But like...
I'm trying to jump off a cliff.
Exactly. Like, we're trying to get a little thrill. Like, I just want to do everything. Like, scuba diving is my favorite thing. It's things that you just get. It's the craziest experience. I don't even know how to explain it, especially doing it in another country. Like, you just feel like you're on top of the world.
Yeah.
So definitely do them and budget them into your travels. Don't leave that out, because it's a huge part of traveling.
I think anytime you want to do an activity, just look into like all the places that offer it. Like when we went to Machu Picchu, this guy tried to be our guide, and it was so expensive, and we're like, no, we're just gonna do it on our own, because like it was already so expensive to go there. Sometimes it's nice to have a guide, but sometimes just do it on your own. You're gonna save money that way.
You're gonna save money. It's just nice to just kind of experience things without anybody else, and sometimes it's really nice to have locals too guiding you, so you just gotta pick and choose.
When we went to the Coliseum, there was like, I downloaded this app that like explained everything, and it was like included. It was like free.
So it was nice to hear the history.
So it wasn't the audio guide though it was just like online. So it was just like free, easy. So we didn't have to pay for the audio or like a guide when they're there. So.
And then so really, like she said, really do your research of all these places too, because what did I say? Like, many different companies will offer the same like guided tour, but some are, like, one's gonna be $1,000 and one's gonna be like
also look if
like,
they include look if it includes food
as well, because some are like 10-hour days and then you got no food and you're like, well, then I'm gonna have to buy food, and some include food. Like, really just
and then you don't have to worry about buying food that day.
TripAdvisor is a really good one. They can offer some really cheap ones around the world.
Get Your Guide. I used a lot,
so those are really two good websites that we'll link down below, that for like guides and tour, and honestly just anything. Like TripAdvisor is a really good one to kind of figure out stays and food and stuff, but really for tours I find it's the best for that. Personally. And then what else?
Mm-hmm.
If you're staying in a hostel, and some of the hotel as well, but mostly hostels, they will actually, like, they'll have, like, deals with companies and stuff, so then they'll work with them, and usually they get it cheaper for the people who stay at the hostel, and then you can book straight to them at the reception desk, which is so easy, and you know you're most likely getting the cheapest rate possible as well. And then also, like, I just remember, like, in Peru, which again, like, is one of the cheaper places to travel, like South America, like, it's like $30 to do our lake humitai.
Oh my god, yeah, it was so
and we got
cheap.
Food included and all this stuff. It really shows you how much cheaper those places are compared to Europe. Okay, and then my last thing obviously when you start to pack, you're gonna be like, bro, like I don't have anything. Like I got clothes, but like I need more stuff than this. Go ask your friends, ask your family, I need this, I need that, I need this. Can you please give it to me because I love you and I'll keep it safe and give it back to you. If you don't got those people and they don't have it, go get it secondhand. Go to the thrift store, go Facebook Market, Kijiji. Cheap. We know
also
the cheap
just
places,
like
people.
don't bring anything that's that nice.
No.
Like, don't bring your nice clothes. Don't bring like your $80 little dress that is your favorite and you wear it every weekend, because it's gonna get disgusting. You might lose it. You might rip it. Like I ripped my jeans just at the bottom on the like 4th day that I was in Europe, and we were there for 2 months, and I only had 1 pair of jeans. Yeah. So just you know, don't bring your best stuff.
I know it's hard. You'll never pack the way you want to at the end of the trip, but do your best. We'll help you if you need it. We're here for you. We get it.
Yeah. And like same thing, like
pack things that are versatile. I have a pair of pants which I just think are so funny that are like, you know, the cut off ones that are like hiking ones and they cut off. As funny as they are, like versatile, baby. Like I can use them as shorts and pants. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And look how cute.
Oh, I've been seeing a lot of people that are going on like ski vacations that like live in hot places. Like literally don't buy a snowsuit, like ski pants and a jacket if you're like gonna go like once a year to go skiing. Go and get it from the thrift store for as cheap as you can, because that stuff is so expensive, but you like need it. So yeah, go get things secondhand. Yeah. Also just looking for like flashlights or a headlamp or like little random like things. Like you can get those at the thrift store too.
Like, things like, I don't know, like a rain jacket, maybe you don't have one. Like, I don't know, just things like that. Thrift store, and again, ask people first. Like, the worst thing you can do is no. Yeah. Or you lose it and then you have to buy them again. Yeah, true. But I mean, that's a risk I feel like you should be willing to take. Yeah. Okay, just last thing, I want to shout out some numbers for y'all. A trip around the world for 1 year. If you're like on a budget man, and you're good at this stuff and you're like, I'm gonna be fine, $10,000. This is like though like sleeping at people's houses and like not eating that much and like really budgeting it like hard. And also like it would be hard. Spending like honestly like 2 weeks in Europe max, and then going to those cheap places, and then now you can like have a little bit better of a time, and then you know, so like it would be really hard. Yeah, so that's like kind of minimum, and you're budgeting. So, and then the more you go up from there, like the more you can either spend and have that kind of more luxurious time, or you can spend longer out there. Yeah. That's when you have to assess, like in the beginning, and decide what kind of trip you want to have. If you want to do, if you don't want to crash on people's houses or you don't want to stay in hostels, your trip's going to be more expensive. So you can start with your baseline, and then it's just going to bump up from there. If you need to eat 3 meals a day, which is fine, it's going to be more expensive, like, or whatever. Like, if you're going to be drinking, it's going to be more expensive. If you want to do all the activities and see all the things, it's going to be expensive. Store, like pregame. Oh, pregame, always. Buy the bottles from the store. It's gonna be way cheaper. Get the cheapest shit too. Like, just get the cheapest stuff. You're traveling, okay? Suffer. It's fine. It's fine. And then again, like I would probably suggest if you're doing like an actual year around the world budget, but still wanting just to have like a good time and not really worry about it, I would recommend having honestly 20 grand, but you do you. Just think about it. Assess. And assess it. Literally, my word for this is gonna be assess the situation. What everything. Rewind this video and go through it again, because that's just what you need to do. Assess all these things and decide. It's not hard. And just prioritize it. Like, that's what you gotta do. We prioritize travel. That's why we travel so much, is because I'm like, I'm not gonna spend coffee today because I'm gonna spend this money on something else when I'm on a trip. Like, that's what I think. Like, that's literally how I think. So, I just work a lot. She works a lot. But so those are all our tips. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, leave it down below. And thank you for watching this video. We hope it helps a lot, because we know it can be hard and we're all struggling out here. And we love you so much.
Love you.
Please subscribe
So we can keep doing these videos.